We're pressed back. We're going to start by lying on the mat. You've got your bolster close to you, which you might need. Have your knees bent. Feet are hip width apart. And just start to connect the mat by just rolling the head, letting it move in one direction. Relax the neck. Feel that your shoulders are away from the ears. And take an in and an out breath here. And then when you're ready, let the head come back to the centre. And breathing out, let the head move over to the other side. Your palms are either palms down alongside you or resting on your abdomen. And then coming back to the centre. And then pay attention to your feet. Feel that you can move them at any point. You might like to have them slightly wider than hip width apart, and might like to have them out towards the edges of the mat. That will depend on you. Your hands are either palms down or they're resting on your abdomen. And breathing out, we'll start in the same direction. Let both knees travel to the right. Your left hip will lift off the floor, and you'll feel the pressure of the body on the right buttock almost. Breathing in, bring the knees back to the centre, and breathing out, just let the knees drop to the left. Breathing in, let the knees come up to the centre. And now in your own breath pattern, your own timing, just let the knees sway from side to side, lifting up your hip as much as you might like. And once you've got the rhythm established, you might find that your head resting on the ground is very gently beginning to move with your knees. And you can choose to increase that movement of the head to correlate with the movement of the knees. And whichever way your head turns, that's fine. Yogically, your head would turn away from the direction of the knees. But if you find that your head is turning in the direction of the knees, then just stay with that. And this very simple movement is connecting into something called somatic movement, which taps into the sensory aspect. So we're feeling the movement. And when you feel the movement, you disconnect the brain from stresses and strains. So sensory movement becomes very important to calm and relax. And a lot of somatic movement, you'll find the patterns and the movements very much in nature. So things like swirling and curling, oscillating, that spiraling movement. And taking that a stage further, when you start to move like this very fluidly, where the body's not really having to think about the movement, it's very supported, in this case, by the earth. The fluidity of the pattern of movement then carries on the fluidity of pattern of mind. And you start to break down rigidly held both movement patterns and also thought patterns. So this movement becomes very releasing. The back of the head has acupressure points on it that we're not normally ever aware of. And the back of the head here is being just very, very gently massaged as we go from side to side. And on that point of the bottom, the top of the bottom of the leg, where you turn over, it's a very satisfying massage on top of the bottom, connects also to an acupressure point, which is called GB30. And that very much, GB is gallbladder, it's a very releasing point for the body. then just very gently come to stillness, your knees are upright. And just still with your knees bent, you might like to bring your feet slightly closer together, now to hip width apart. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. So this increases the nitric oxide, which is massively helpful on several levels, one of which is increasing the nitric oxide aspect in the blood. Then just release the breath and stretch out, when you're ready, both legs along the mat. And as you breathe in, extend both heels, toes up to the ceiling. And as you breathe out, just gently point the toes away from you. And just do that a couple of times to your breath pattern. You're beginning to work into the feet. And we mentioned stiffness in the joint. So this is part of an anti-rheumatic stiffness set of yoga movements called Pavanamukta. Pavan are the winds or the energies that flow through us. And this is just beginning to activate the flow of energy through the body. And then begin to circle the ankles in one direction. So if you wanted to really slow it down, you would breathe in with your toes up, and as you breathe out, your toes circle and go to the bottom of that circle. And again, we are gathering energetic movement at this lower level, but it extends throughout the body. These exercises for the feet are fantastic if you're travelling, particularly fantastic if you're on a plane. And then circle your ankles in the opposite direction. They are also anti-DVT, so deep vein thrombosis. And then just relax your feet. And both feet go to the left, big toes go to the left, and both toes go to the right. So you're just swishing your feet from side to side, and that's activating another part of the foot. And then leaving your right leg where it is, bend your left knee and hug the left knee into the chest. So this is looking at the hip, but in between the feet and the hip is of course the knee. So before we come to do our next asana or movement, we're going to look at the knee joint. So just drop your hands underneath the left thigh, clasping the hands, and just very gently sway your foot up and down, just bouncing it almost. This tiny movement starts to move the synovial fluid in the knee joint. You don't need to move it very much. The knee is a hinge joint, so it doesn't have a lot of movement. And then hugging the left knee into the chest. Have your bolster or your support, if you need it, to the right of you. And then very gently, you might need to use the backs of your elbows to support you, to roll the whole body over to the right with the knee bent. And your support, if you need support, would be that you might rest your left inner leg onto the support. You might not need it. Your left foot is gently resting on your right leg. And we're going to start with the right hand on the outer left thigh and the left hand on the left waist. Your eyes can be open or closed. If you feel you want a greater stretch, you can extend with a bent elbow your left arm above you and rest the hand, back of the hand on the floor. But whether you have your hand above you or whether you have your left hand on your waist, you're opening up the left lung and you're opening up under the left arm, which connects into the upper lymphatic system, so you're boosting your immune system. And this rotation is super helpful for realigning the spine. You're stretching the muscles along the spine on one side. If you want to further feel that stretch, extend the right heel so that you're really stretching the body and then just relax again. The left knee that's bent opens space out at the base of the lower back. So again, it's fantastic for the hip and the lower back. Both joints, both areas can get a lot of wear and tear, a lot of strain. And then very gently, when you're ready, just roll onto your back again. Perhaps place both hands, palms down on the floor, bend both knees and place both feet on the floor. Press the feet down to lift and straighten out your bottom. And just gently sway both knees from side to side in the same direction. And then if you want to use your support, take your bolster from the right side to the left side. Extend your left leg along the ground. And then hug the right knee into the chest. Of all the energies in the body, we're working on the foundational Apana energy. And of all the energies, the Apana energy is the foundation, so it is viewed in almost as the most important. If this is out, everything else is out. And then just exploring the knee, drop your hands underneath your right thigh, clasp your hands, and just bounce your foot, just giving the nearest movement to the knee joint. And then hugging the right knee into the chest. And rolling the entire body over to the left. Maybe use your right elbow. Your left hand will just rest somewhere on the outside of the right thigh, right hand on the right waist. Eyes open or closed. If you can turn your head slightly to the right or just look up. You can extend your left heel to stretch into the body and then relax it. That feels good for you. And you've got the invitation, if you want to raise your right elbow above you, back of the hand on the ground, if that feels good. The heavy-duty back muscles take some time to respond. So dipping in and out very quickly, they retain their tenseness, they don't let go just like that. And very gently, you might want to extend into the left heel and relax. Very gently roll onto the back. Bend both knees, palms down on the ground, feet on the ground. Press your feet into the ground, just lift and straighten out your bottom. And then hug one knee into the chest, and then hug the other knee into the chest. Open the knees into a little V, and then circle the knees. So you let the knees drift away from you to arm's length, still holding them, widen them, and then just circle them back, hugging the knees into the chest. If you've gone the other way, that's fine. So you're now moving into the hips again. You can feel the movement of the upper leg in the hip socket, giving your hip a complete workout for the hips. There's no weight or pressure like there might be a pigeon. It's a very gentle, soft rotation of the joints in the hip socket. And then you go the other way, so you hug your knees into the chest, widen them, and then circle them to meet together at the top of the circle. Pull the knees in towards you, widen them, and then circle them the other way. We're also massaging really low down on your back, which is helpful for the lower back. So just hug the knees into the chest. As you breathe in, raise the left foot and raise the left arm. It can be bent at the elbow and the knee can be soft. Extend the left heel if you're able to. And then breathing out, hug the left knee into the chest. And in your own time, breathing in, extend the right leg up to the ceiling, right arm as well, extend the right heel, and then breathing out, hugging the knee into the chest. And once more to each side in your own breath pattern. And then we're going to try breathing in, raising both legs to the ceiling, both arms up, slightly stronger on your lower abdominal area, and then breathing out, lower the arms and hug the knees into the chest. Keep the knees hugged into the chest. If you want to give space for your tummy, then just widen the knees slightly, and just start to rock from side to side. So we come back to the somatic movement, which really connects to the spiraling movement you find in nature. And this particular movement is under embryonic movement. You can see why. But again, it's said to free us from both mind and body patterns. You can roll a little bit from side to side, or you can roll a lot. And then very gently coming back to the centre. And then very, very gently supporting your legs underneath to place one foot and then the other foot back down onto the earth. Knees bent, feet hip width apart. Keep your elbows on the ground and then lift your hands up to the ceiling. Extend your fingers to the ceiling and then moving the wrists, move your hands away towards the floor. So your elbows remain on the floor, hands up as you breathe in, and breathing out, hands down. And a couple of times in your own breath pattern. So we come back to this rheumatic and Palavasana series for the joints. And then we go to circle the wrists in one direction. Again, the elbows are on the ground, so the upper arm should be quite relaxed. And then very gently circle the hands in the opposite direction. And then just stretch the fingers out and then curl them in, and stretch or flick them out and curl them in a couple of times. And then we're going to think about leaving the ground for the moment and rolling onto the side. And we're going to come onto our hands and knees. But take your time to roll onto the side. So I don't mind how you do it. Yoga, you roll to the right, away from your heart. And then you stay there for a moment. You get the body used to the movement, and then just coming up very gently. And coming round onto hands and knees. And again, our hands and knees, hands are shoulder width apart, and the hips are, knees are hip width apart. And you're just connecting or being mindful of your thumb and your index finger connecting to the earth. And we're going to start with oscillating movement, just moving the hip from side to side, almost as if you're wagging your tail. And we're just picking up this oscillating movement of the somatic movement, just swirling the energy around the lower abdominal area. And again, you might find that as you sway your hips, go one way, you're looking over the shoulder, and you can pick that shoulder, head over the shoulder movement more. If you were looking down on top of you, you would almost look like a fish swimming through the water, as they make an S shape. Hips go one way, and you naturally just move your head, swirling. And then coming to all fours and coming to very classic movement, breathing in, dipping the back, looking either up or along the mat, depending on your neck capacity. As you breathe out, round your back, chin comes to chest. Feel that the movement is initiated by the tailbone, so the movement starts at the tailbone, rippling the back vertebra by vertebra as you breathe in and dip the back, looking up. And then again, the movement starts with the tailbone as you round back, chin to chest. Yeah, a couple of times in your own breath pattern. The chin to the chest action stretches out the back of the neck, so it encourages blood to come in to there, free passage of blood going up. It activates the vagus nerve, which is calming for the nervous system. And you're very supported here. Your heart's parallel to the ground, and the vertebra of your back are very supported. So each vertebra has opportunity to start moving one by one, and very safely. And then just come to bring your elbows to the ground. Your bottom is up in the air. And if you want to stretch out your upper back, you would just move your elbows forwards. So your head is coming more to the ground. It might touch the ground. And you bring your bottom back as much or as little as you want to feel that stretch in the upper back, but also you're stretching out actually your lower back as well, tummy in a little bit. So this is puppy pose. And it will be different for each individual. And then we come to quarter dog. So take your right arm, take it across the body, and then come to puppy pose again and stretch your left arm out. You really feel the stretch along your left side. You might want to move your left arm to the right to really have a stretch into the left side, but that's up to you. Take an in and an out breath. Then bring your left arm back straight, and now bend your left arm so as it goes across the body and stretch out your right arm. You can rest your forehead on the bent left forearm if you want to, bottom up.
quarter dog, and then you can move your right arm to the left if you want an extra stretch. There's a muscle running along the back that gets stretched here. It's called the quadratus lumborum. I don't know muscles hugely, I do know that one. But it's very helpful for lower back issues as well. And then come back and then sliding your hands towards you. So Sue doesn't like downward dog, but otherwise if you do like downward dog, tuck your toes. Well, you have to come standing. So tuck your toes and then lift your knees. Knees bent, lengthen your spine, and then start to lengthen your legs. Perhaps bring your feet closer a little bit to your hands. And then walk the dog by extending one heel, bending the other knee, extending the other heel, bending the other knee. Just getting into stretching out the backs of the calves. And then stretch both legs, but your heels don't have to touch the ground by any means. And then walk your feet to your hands to your feet. Really bend your knees. And then press the feet into the ground and start to roll up vertebra by vertebra, standing. Head being last thing to lift.
When you move slowly, lift and roll the shoulders. So that opens the gateways to the head, energy pathways. And come to a very familiar side to side. So this moves all 5 energies. You can lift your heels, you can sway a little bit, or you can sway right round the shoulders. So stiffness in the joints can happen at times of the year, often the change of seasons, hot weather as well. But stiffness of joints is when there is an overload of toxins in the system, and it can just be food or stress. The body doesn't handle it quite so well, and so then it doesn't get processed out of the system, it dissolves into the bloodstream. An example of that stiffness would be arthritis, where from the bloodstream it forms in little crystals at the joints. It will always be the weakest point for you, but joints commonly, arthritis in the hands, back, neck, you get a lot of that. And for instance, young people get very stiff, so like drug use or abuse, and people are incredibly stiff because the body hasn't been able to handle. If you've been on medication, it hasn't quite left your system. So this is a very simple way to just sway the body. And then just come to lifting and rolling the shoulders. And breathing in, press the feet into the ground, lift the toes, and then just press them down. Lift and roll the shoulders. Tense the knees and just release them. Just slightly move forwards and backwards. And then slightly side to side. And then open the arms. I'm thinking of your arms, not too much. Hug. Sorry, yeah. Come forward, chin to chest, and then just rock from side to side. So I'm thinking of opening up and giving space to the shoulders, back to the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And then standing up. Remember which arm's on top, just slightly opening the other one on top. Hug. Come forward and just slightly go from side to side, chin to chest. And then just relax. So I wanted to do one of the ones that's in the book, to open up the shoulder. Just literally let one arm drop. And just feel, get it feel very heavy. Come upright. right, and then just let the other one go. Feel heavy. Come up, right. Just lift and roll the left shoulder a couple of times, backwards, forwards, and then once back to set it. And then the right shoulder, backwards, forwards, and then once back to set. Lift all the shoulders. I'm just very aware of the time. I've got all the time in the world, I can carry on, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
check
because
with
we
you.
started late, didn't we?
Yeah,
So,
I just
no,
wanted to-
that's, I'm fine. Are you okay, Karen?
Hands together there, heart centre. Soften the knees and circle the hands up. If your arms are troubling you, then bend your elbows. Palms together at the top, reverse, up. So we're coming to a lateral movement. Press the feet down and just go to one side. You can bounce in and out. Breathing in, come to the centre, stretch up and bounce to the other side. Breathing in, come to the centre. And breathing out, turn slightly. You're only going a tiny bit to one side. Breathing in, come to the centre, and breathing out, turn to go to the other side. Come to the centre, and then lower the hands. And this is very strange. It's almost as if you're flying. So this is all the joints. Keeping your elbows as bent as you need to if they're stiff. So your ankles are getting movement, pressure onto the joints in your feet, knees, hips. Every joint is being moved. And you'll find this not just in across traditions, including Tai Chi. You lift your arms as little or as much as you like. So if they're stiff, just keep the movement very low. And then just gently come to a standstill. Lift and roll the shoulders again. And clasp your hands behind you, aim the knuckles to the ground. I've got my hands in an open weave. If you wanted to be very yogic, you'd have your hands closed, which is harder, I think, and doesn't open the shoulders so much, but however works for you. And then just turn slightly to the left. Come to the centre. And then just turn slightly to the right. And then just come to the centre. And then just release the hands. For the wrists, just go, join the wrists together, palms together, and just circle. Hold on. The wrists one way, and maybe the other way. It's not doing your head in. And just shake your hands out. And just again, just stiffness, just slightly pull one, and then just pull the other one, and then just release. And we come to some half salutes to the sun, hands together. Soften the knees, circle the hands up, palms together at the top. Bring the palms through the centre, bend the knees, slide the hands down to the shins, half lift. Legs from the tailbone to the top of the head. Breathing out, soften in. Breathing in, half lift again. And stay here as you breathe out. Breathing in, soften the knees, press the feet down, and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Arms up, stretch your fingers, thumbs behind, little fingers in front, and then breathe out, lower the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. Breathing in, turn the head to the left. Breathing out, turn the head to the right. Into the left and out to the right. Come to the centre. Half salute to the sun, hands together at the heart centre, soften the knees. And circle the arms up, stretch up, palms together. Come through the heart centre. Slide the hands down to the shins. Half lift. Tailbone to top of the head, chin in. Breathe out, soften the knees, soften the elbows, curl in. When you're ready, half lift again. Stay here as you breathe out. Breathing in, press the feet down, bend the knees and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Up, circle the arms up, stretch the fingers. And then like some, just circle the arms down. Hands on the waist, feet hip width apart, and then just swirling the energy. Imagine a hula hoop. Swirling one way. It bizarrely is also, you'll find some belly dancing, which is really odd. That fluidity, and the more fluid you are, the better. And then just circle the other way. So it's swirling all your energies, quite good for the liver as well. Health is moving, flowing energy. So when you're stiff and energy stagnates, you just want to get it moving, but it doesn't have to be energetically moving, particularly. It's such a fine balance. Athletes can burn their bodies out and then they get injuries. So it's just like a gentle swirling. And then just come to the centre, bring your feet back to hip width or comfortably apart, and again, a half salute to the sun. Hands together at the heart centre, soften the knees. Circle the arms up, really stretch, palms together at the heart centre. Come through, soften the knees. Hands onto the shins, half lift. Breathe out, soften. Breathe in, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. Soften the knees. Press the feet down and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. When you're ready and you've come up, just stretch your hands up, stretch your fingers, and then just circle your wrists down. And then just lift and roll your shoulders. Place your right hand on your waist, your left hand on your abdomen. Breathe in and lengthen the body. Breathe out, turn to look over your right shoulder. You can turn your body as well. Take an in and an out breath. Keep your body turned, but then turn the head to look over the left shoulder. And then bring the head back to the centre, the body back to the centre. Release the hands, lift and roll the shoulders. Bring the right hand to the navel, left hand to the waist. Lengthen the body. And breathing out, turn to look over the left shoulder. The body turns as well. And then leaning your body where it is, just turn your head back to look over the right shoulder. And then come to the head, the centre, body comes back. Lift and roll the shoulders. And then bring the hands to the heart. Hakini Mudra. Just focus the eyes softly at the fingertips or just slightly beyond. If you just part your fingers, if you want to think, it's a thinking, it just focuses the mind basically. And then just release the hands. Lift and roll one shoulder and then lift and roll the other shoulder. Hands to the heart. And then coming to bend the knees, and then coming back onto, we come into a seated position, legs in front of you and apart. Just bounce the legs. You talked about stiffness. So another thing for the knees is just to rub the knees. The whole of the knee is a marble point. So the whole joint. And then under the knee, they look like the elbow. There are 3 little dents in the elbow. And we've got those 3 dents under the knee, so you can just rub the knees as well. And then you can, it's about boosting circulation, so you can either rub or pat, or do a combination of both. As far as you can go, you can do your arms, you can do your chest, you do your back. It's almost like dry skin brushing, it's boosting circulation, so it's quite rejuvenating, although you don't necessarily think so. And then just very gently have the legs in a V. Ooh, that's interesting. Have the legs in a V. And just almost feel that you're leading with the chest, your toes are up to the ceiling, and just slide your hands down the legs. When you feel that you're comfortable, just relax forward. So depending on your arm length, nothing else really, you will slide down your shins towards the ankles. If you've got very long arms, then you might be able to hold your toes, but if you haven't, then just come to where you are comfortable. So this is a very simple forward bend. The legs being open is giving space to the groin, which is the lower lymphatic system. And the back is slightly curved, so you're giving space to the vertebra. You're encouraging the breath to go into the back more. We tend to ignore the back for breathing. The chin is slightly to the chest, so it's a forward bend. It's calming to the nervous system. Chin to chest in particular opens or activates the vagus nerve, which is a bundle of nerves controlling a lot of things, but it is calming, as I say, calming to our nervous system. It's anti-inflammation, which is what you want if you've got stiffness and soreness and tendinitis and stiff joints. And then just very, very gently slide the hands up. Soften the knees as you bend them, hold the support them to bring them together. Lift and roll the shoulders again. Raise the left arm, bring it across the body, and place the right hand behind you. Breathing in, lengthen the body, and breathing out, turn. So look over the right shoulder. Breathing in, come back to the centre, lengthen the body, raise the right arm, you don't have to, but you can. Bring it across the body, left hand behind you, and turn to look over the left shoulder. Come back to the centre. Just subtly, for a couple of breaths, come forward, just relax forward. And then coming, you can have your legs out in front of you. We are going to come to lying, but before we do that, I'm going to come to a cross-leg position. If you're not happy cross-legged, then stick to how you're comfortable. Just hands onto the knees, breathing in, sitting up, breathing out, rounding chin to chest. A couple of times, just to flow the back. And then we're just going to do a very simple eye exercise. And if you take your thumb and just push it out to arm's length, that would be the centre of your clock. You don't have to keep your arm there. Once you've got your clock, just drop your hand. Keep your head still and bring your eyes up to an imaginary 12 o'clock. And then breathing out, come through the centre of your clock and drop your eyes to come to 6 o'clock. Come back to the centre of the eyes and come to 3 o'clock. Your head stays still, it's just your eyes moving. Come to the centre and come to your 9 o'clock. Come to the centre. And then coming up to 10 past the hour, come through the centre to 22 the hour, and come back to the centre. Drop your eyes up to 10 to the hour, come through the centre and drop them to 20 past the hour. Come back to the centre. Bring your eyes up and then following smoothly like a clock around clockwise all the way around 5, 10, 15, 20 past the hour, 25, half past, 25 to 22, quarter to 10 to 5 to 1 o'clock. Drop your eyes back to the centre. Bring your eyes up to the top again and go around anti-clockwise, so 5 to 10, quarter to 22, 5 to. Notice where your eyes jump. Half past, 25 past, 20, quarter past 10, 5 past, 1 o'clock. Drop your eyes to the centre. And then get your hands and just rub them. There are lots of energy points, electrical points in the hands, and this is very helpful to soothe tired eyes anytime. When you feel that you've got your hands slightly warm, just place your hands over your closed eyes, and then open your eyes into the darkness of the hands, and then just smooth your hands away. Then we're going to come to lying once more. Have your bolster to hand, if you might need it. We're going to start with knees bent, feet hip width apart. And we're going to start with a couple of pelvic tilts, so palms down on the ground, flattening the back as if you're going to lift your bottom. You don't lift your bottom. You then relax and your tailbone goes towards the floor so that there's a little gap under your lower back. And again, a couple of times flattening the bottom as if you're going to lift it, but you don't, and then just releasing. The next time, optionally, you can press your feet into the ground, actually lift your bottom, bend your elbows, your chin comes into your chest, raise your elbows and your arms above your head. And as you breathe out, lower your back and bottom back down to the ground. Lower your arms, and then hug the knees into the chest. Rock slightly from side to side. Extend the legs up to the ceiling, extend the heels, your legs are in a V, palms together through that V. Hug the knees into the chest. Support them under the thighs to place them back down onto the earth. Palms down. Flatten the back, press the feet down, lift the bottom, lift the arm, bend the elbows, chin to chest, stretch out. Breathing out, lower the bottom back down to the ground, lower the arms. Once the bottom's connected, hug the knees into the chest. Soles of the feet to the ceiling, extend the heels, and palms together through the V. Hug the knees into the chest. And then breathing in, you're still holding your knees, both knees out to arm's length, hugging the knees, both knees hug back into the chest. If you need to space for your tummy, just widen your knees. Just do that a few times to your own breath pattern. Breathing in Knees away, breathing out, hugging the knees into the chest. If you want particularly to put an abdominal focus on this pose, then you would let your fingers and hands do less work, and your tummy would do more. So you'd hold your knees terribly lightly, and your tummy would do the work. But if you really want a comforting hugging, then your hands tend to do more of the work. It just depends how much of an abdominal workout you want to do. So this works on, I mentioned the dosha elements in Ayurveda, a combination of elements represented in our body, and this represents the Vata dosha. In particular, it impacts the Vata dosha, and Vata is air, and if the Vata dosha is out in the body, that is always, any pain reflects the Vata dosha being out. So this is very helpful for pain relief. And again, we're coming back to that circle, we're still in and out, and it comes back to that circle, that somatic movement, that sort of almost circular movement. And then just placing your hands underneath your thighs and placing your feet on the floor. And this comes to a restorative pose, so my bolster's too big, but if you lift, press your feet down, lift your bottom and place your bolster underneath your bottom comfortably, bottom, thighs. Your knees are bent, your feet are width apart. It's quite a restful pose. Your hips are supported, the blood slightly coming back towards the heart. It is a very subtle movement. Hands can be open upwards, but if you don't like that, just have them resting on your abdomen. And just bring the attention to the base chakra. That's really at the base of the spine, the perineum. And as you breathe in, mentally think or say to yourself, so as you breathe in, it's a mental process. And hum as you breathe out, just letting go of everything. So as you breathe in at the base, hum as you breathe out. And again. And then just moving your mind from the perineum to halfway between the perineum and the navel, slightly different place for each person. And we're in front of the spine, we're towards the back, so the middle back of the body. And that is the neck chakra up, the energy point. And this, again, as you breathe in, so, and as you breathe out. And again, a couple of times. So this energy point connects to the kidneys, the adrenal glands, stress centers, element of water. On some systems, the colour of the orange, base will be red, this will be orange. Then you move your attention now to the navel, behind the navel. So as you breathe in and hum as you breathe out. A couple of times. This is a chakra meditation. And the colour here on this system would be yellow. It very much connects into our digestive enzymes. Our health is believed that in most Eastern traditions to be very linked to our stomach. That's pretty key too. Very central. So the element represented by this energy point is fire. And this energy point connects to the eyes. So people say that if your digestive system is out, then your eye focus might be impacted. And then just release the thoughts there and move up to the heart area. So as we breathe in, as we breathe out. So the centre, emotional centre, compassion, kindness. When there's too much energy running through there, people can be aggressive, domineering. When there's too little energy running through the heart, people can be quite fearful and timid, very much connected with the ego. So people who are very aggressive can burn their energy and even suffer heart attacks, burnout. In balance, people are loving and kind, compassionate. In one system, the colour here is pink and green. But in another system, there is blue with the heart, and that would connect into the element of air, because the heart connects to air, and the sense of touch and the heart are linked. Then just let the soul and the hum disappear and move now to the throat, deep inside the throat. And this colour would be blue when it connects to the thyroid and the parathyroid glands, part of our metabolic control, but thyroid connects also to the adrenals. So autoimmune illnesses or conditions can take hold for an exhausted adrenal system, exhaustion and stress out. So as you breathe in and hum as you breathe out. And again, so as you breathe in, hum as you breathe out. And then let the focus drift to the middle of the forehead, between the eyebrows, the third eye. Even in Eastern philosophy, this point varies. It can be described as between the eyebrows or right up to the middle of the forehead. It's the centre of intuition, so as you breathe in and hum as you breathe out. Centre of knowledge as well, connects on the glandular system to our pituitary and pineal glands, and we're again part of our metabolic master control. And then just finally come to let your attention settle really at the crown of the head, the Sahasrara. So as we breathe in and hum as we breathe out, it connects us to the world, of course. Outside energies, energies mixed with everybody else's. And the top three chakras, energy points, connect to the element of ether. So the heart is air, and the throat, third eye, and crown of ether. Finer essence. Just bring your attention to your nostrils and breathe in a breath to the point that you imagine it to be the centre of your head. And as you breathe out, your out breath takes with it anything you don't want today. It cleanses it, cleans everything, removes anything that's not serving you today. It leaves through the feet and goes back to the earth. And then one more breath, doing the same, breathing in through the nose to the point that you imagine the centre of the head. And like a fine veil, transparent veil, it just of anything that you don't want, and breathe out through the soles of the feet. And one more time, breathing in to the centre of the head and breathing out all the way to the soles of the feet. And take a moment here to have a thought for the day, maybe for yourself or for anyone close to you. Mentally think that thought a couple of times to set today's intention, and then just let that drift away. And then we're going to connect to the sense of the clothes on our skin, sounds inside and outside, bringing this back to where we are. You might like to remove your block. You might like to hug your knees into your chest, And we're going to finish by hugging the knees into the chest, just rocking once more, connecting to that somatic movement, rocking from side to side. We're going to come, when we're ready, to a cross-legged position. So roll to the side. I'm just going to finish again with some somatic movement. Taking your time to come up. Be comfortable, legs out, legs crossed, doesn't matter, just sitting up. And just place your hands to either side of your head, dropping your head slightly. So this is almost holding your space. It, in the somatic movement, connects to the, like when babies are swaddled, that feeling of safety and security, like wrapped in a blanket. Connects actually to your ears, feeling of your ears, like the temple, third eye area, ears. And it's the opening sequences that you'd find in Reiki, healing, self-Reiki. And then it doesn't matter which hand you use, but one hand goes to the back of the head, just supports it, and the other hand comes to the forehead. Your chin is down, back of the neck is extended. You just feel those hands almost coming together, supporting the head. And then you keep the hand at the forehead and just drop the hand at the back of the head to the chest. So now your head comes up slightly. And you feel that stretch from the chest to the forehead. Now, this is uplifting the mood, very anti-depression, your tendencies to that. And then you keep your hand at the chest and take the hand that's on the forehead and just drop that hand to the navel. So that does again encourage you to sit up, creating space for your digestive system, all your abdominal organs. If your abdominal organs are squashed, then there's no space for the lungs and the blood to all your organs. Their abdominal organs is restricted a little bit. And then to finish, you either keep your hands where they are, or if you want to bring your hand from the abdomen to the heart, then please do, taking now whatever position you adopted a bow for yourself. And then I'm going to read some cards, thoughts for the day.